Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Good evening, everyone. You are listening to Red Pill 78. The time is 8:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is it. We are going live, and I just need to move the chat down to the spot where everyone can see it. There we go. It's on its way, guys. I hope everyone has had a fantastic Saturday. I had a nice, relaxing day myself. I actually had a migraine earlier, so I had to take a little nap. It sure is nice to be able to take a nap when you need one. Let me make this a little bigger for you guys. I hope everyone's doing well. I had a great show last night. I'm sure everybody here was there. No, you guys enjoyed it. I sure did too. We've got a heck of a show for you tonight. Good evening, Red Pills. You're listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News for Saturday Night Livestream, April 6th, Saturday, April 6th. His story, I am so glad to see you here. I did take a look at some of the messages, but not much of them, because I've been so busy getting everything ready. I will be taking a look at it tomorrow. Sunday is usually the day of the week that I get a chance to do stuff like that. We have a very special guest for you guys tonight. This is a whistleblower for the US Forestry Service, and for other things, but someone in the federal government. We've got Texas, the Philippines, Missouri, Indiana, Tucson, Arizona, Los Angeles, Nebraska, Yokohama, Japan. Wow, very cool. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody from Japan here. Hello, Bill and Jody from Michigan. We've got Los Angeles, New Jersey, Colorado, Prescott, Arkansas, Florida, Oregon, Kansas, Bay City, Michigan. The Florida Files. Where we go one, we go all. Newport, Oregon, Connecticut. France. Hello from France. Awesome. Yellow Vests, Missouri, upstate New York, Utah. SoCal, NYC, Victoria, Texas, South Carolina, Michigan, Mississippi, Wisconsin, New Hampshire, Pueblo, Colorado, North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and my eyes are gonna burn out of my head. Let me throw it on to slow chat real quick, you guys, so that I can keep up with it, because otherwise I won't be able to. All right, there we go. Comerica Park, Atlanta, Canada, Indiana, Huntersville, South Carolina, North Carolina, Kentucky, New Hampshire, St. Paul, Minnesota, Alabama, Paradise, California, another Comerica Park, Portland, Oregon, Malibu, California, Baltimore, Virginia, beautiful British Columbia, Wisconsin, Quincy, Illinois, Oklahoma, Las Vegas, Indiana, Rhode Island, Arizona, Wisconsin, Portland, Oregon. Hello from Amsterdam. Hello from Australia. Wow, several in a row right from Australia. That's great. That is so great. Southern Oregon. Excellent. You guys, and of course, as soon as I started to broadcast, Muffin woke up and she came in here. I know that she's going to want a rawhide. Jeez, oh Pete's. I should have got her one before I started the broadcast. No, there's a Dutchie right there, and I saw somebody else from Amsterdam earlier. Coventry, England, Minnesota, another Australia, Fox Lake, Illinois, Calder, Wisconsin, Blessings from France, Pennsatucky, Minnesota, Louisiana, North Dakota, Canada, Newport News, Virginia, North Carolina, Arkansas, the Ozarks. Ozarks are beautiful. New Socialist Republic of Nevada, Brooklyn. Hey, we got AOC's home turf there. NorCal, Virginia, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Waldo, Ohio. More from the Netherlands. Excellent. Yes, everybody. Muffin says hello. No rawhides, I know. She's going to have to hold off until we're done here. She'll end up sitting in my lap, I know. Minnesota says, thank you for slowing down the chat. Excellent, you guys. I'm so glad that you're able to read it, too. Okay. Oh, you know what? I see that my screen is a little off. There we go. I just adjusted it. Now it should be exactly as it's meant to be seen. Okay, so a little bit more about my guest. We're going to call them US Forestry Anon, or just Forestry Anon for short. They are an individual who lives and works in the federal government, in the seat of our federal government. They've had some very disturbing things happen to them since becoming a whistleblower. This is someone like myself. Seavine is here. Awesome. Glad to see Seavine is here. Someone like myself, someone interested in exposing corruption and in getting to the heart of what's wrong in government today. Come on, Muffin, get up here. Get up here. Come on, jump. There you go. You got it, baby. Okay. All right, you guys. Muffin is officially in my lap. She's ready to hear the broadcast. How does the microphone sound, you guys? I've positioned it slightly differently. I had a lot of people telling me that the microphone, or that it was quiet, that I was more quiet than other people on YouTube. And so I tried to turn up the gain. Is that what it's called? With the sound that comes out. And so, and I started noticing that there was maybe a little bit of distortion when I got excited. So I've moved the microphone a little bit further back so that I can, do my usual thing and laugh and get excited about stuff. Everybody says it sounds great. Okay, awesome. I'm very, very happy to hear that. Now, I did see that we needed to pray for someone, you guys. I need to jump back here in the chat. This is from Juliet's Thoughts. Juliet is one of my regular viewers. She says, I need everyone to pray for my close Lenny Yarashevsky to get a heart, 52-year-old wonderful father of 2, grandfather and husband of my friend Shannon. Grew up with them. Please pray. Please pray for Lenny, you guys. Lenny is apparently on the list to get a heart transplant. We need to make sure that he gets one. Oh, Muffin is literally putting her nose in the microphone, you guys, so you might hear her. Oh my gosh, I put it on live chat and it switched back to top chat. YouTube is not very honest when it comes to this stuff. It was on live chat. I don't understand why they switched it. All right, you guys, I do have several people that I need to say thank you to. We've got lots of people that have already dropped a couple of tips, some super chats. First of all, Scott Strange. Now, Scott Strange actually gave this super chat just after my broadcast ended last night, so I wanted to make sure that I was able to say thank you to him. He says, call me Lord of the Ring and entertain my idea. Just a crazy idea I have. Well, Scott, I hope you're listening tonight. I will entertain your crazy idea. I try to read all of the messages that come to me. It's very rare that I can get a chance to respond to many of them, but that's only because I get so many. So, by all means, send me your crazy idea. Mods, if you'll please, drop my email address into the chat so people can get that. We've got over 1,000 people, 1,101 people I'm showing in the chat right now. If you guys would please be so kind, if you enjoy my show, please share this show on your favorite social network. If you have not yet, please subscribe. And, get this out to as many people as possible because, I'm dropping truth bombs here. I want people to be able to see what I'm doing. And the more people that like the show, the more YouTube will actually spread it around. Also need to say hello to my friend Jeff Stewart. Jeff, thank you for that super chat. He says, hi, RP78 Super and Patriots. My good friend Larry Thompson says, MSU, go Tigers. Hashtag Biden Gitmo 2920. Or maybe 2020 that was supposed to be. Alexandria Occasional Cortex is in the audience. Alexandria, I do have some of your Instagram videos we're going to go over tonight. Thank you for that super chat. Also, my friend Justin Rains. Justin dropped a super chat, said keep up the great work. We also had Nancy Kaya 75 saying she's here from New Braunfels, Texas. Thank you for that super chat. Linny 07 just dropped a super chat. XRP Elites says love the show. Thank you very much for that super chat. Let's see. We've also got Roger Sloan checking in from South Carolina. God bless. God bless you, Roger, and thank you for that super chat. And then says, did you like the Trump, Rod Rosenstein, Robert Mueller mob blog by Rex I tweeted at you? Yeah, I actually covered it on the show here a couple weeks ago. I believe it wasn't a live show, but the title of the video was Donald Trump, something about Donald Trump being a mob or a FBI informant. So check that out because I love that article. It's a great article. Also, Tanette Booth says JoJo needs a wrench. Where is JoJo? JoJo, where are you? I see you around all the time, but okay. Well, Jojo, just drop him another message in the chat, and I'll go ahead and wrench you. And I need to take a drink of water, you guys. PG asks, what is a super chat? A super chat is a way that you can drop a tip for me if you want to support the program. When you go to leave a chat, there should be a $sign that is below that, and if you hover over it, it says show your support for Red Pill 78. So you click that $sign, there's a slider bar. You can slide it over to the amount of money that you want to tip, you go ahead and do that, and it shows up real big in the chat. It makes it easier for me to see stuff. But, okay, Susan Elmore says, enough already. We're going to get started with the show, you guys. First of all, before we bring in my guest, I want to talk a little bit about what's been going on in Washington, D.C. So, we have talked about this before. George O., thank you for that super chat. DOJ Inspector General confirms that the year-long investigation into FISA abuse is still active. Now, this is from March 21st, but it was something that I found in the notables section, and so I wanted to go ahead and cover this a little bit. His story says, I am learning the Dropbox stuff. Thanks, Big, my dog, little sister. Shout out to Muffin in Where We Bark One, We Bark All. Bark, bark. That's great. Thank you so much. Let's see. Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz confirmed Thursday his office is still investigating possible abuse of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act by the DOJ and FBI in their investigation into President Trump and associates of his 2016 campaign. The revelation came during a panel discussion in Washington, D.C., when Horowitz was asked to divulge his biggest projects. We have a FISA-related review that people might have heard about that the Deputy Attorney General asked us to take a look at, but I'm not going to dwell on that, he said, at the event alongside 3 other inspectors general hosted by the Atlantic Council. Horowitz did not comment further. The moderator, Sarah Lynch of Reuters, made it clear that the watchdog's FISA abuse probe was off limits to further questions. I was asked... I'm sorry, you guys, the dogs are barking. Hold on just one moment. Hey, you guys. Hey, shh, I'm on the air. All right, I asked them to be quiet, and they did. I was also asked to just tell everybody, please don't ask about an ongoing investigation. Don't ask Michael Horowitz about the FISA Carter Page investigation. He can't talk about it. As much as we all want to know what the finding will be, she said. Nearly 1 year ago, on March 28th, Horowitz announced the start of the FISA abuse probe by his office, saying he was doing so following the request from then Attorney General Jeff Sessions and Republican members of Congress. These GOP lawmakers alleged the DOJ and FBI had abused the FISA process and misled the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court in their investigation and surveillance of Trump and his associates during the campaign and Trump's administration. At the time, the Inspector General's office said it would examine the Justice Department and the FBI's compliance with legal requirements and the applicable DOJ and FBI policies and procedures in applications filed with the U.S. Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court relating to a certain U.S. person. That certain U.S. person is believed to be Trump campaign associate Carter Page. Sam Sun, thanks for that super chat. Appreciate that. Dana Finkler says, where we bark one, we bark all. Muffin's biggest fan. Thank you so much, Dana. I do appreciate that, buddy. All right, so next, the DOJ IG also said it would review information that was known to the DOJ and the FBI at the time the applications were filed from or about an alleged FBI confidential source. Additionally, the OIG will review the DOJ and FBI's relationship and communications with the alleged source as they relate to the FISC applications. The alleged FBI confidential source is widely believed to be Christopher Steele, the British ex-spy whose so-called Trump dossier was used in FISA applications presented before the court to justify FISA warrants. The Trump-Russia investigation launched by the DOJ and the FBI would carry on into the special counsel investigation, which to this day is looking at Russian interference in the 2016 election and possible collusion between the Trump campaign and the Kremlin. Obviously, we know that is ended. There was no collusion and there was no obstruction of justice because there was no issue. One Up Channel says, love getting my news from Red Pill 78. Thank you. And thank you, One Up Channel. I appreciate that. Now, we all know Steele was being paid for his research by Fusion GPS, an opposition research firm that was funded in part by the Clinton campaign and the Democratic National Committee through the Perkins Coie law firm. Republicans have alleged that the dossier's Democratic benefactors and Steele's anti-Trump bias was withheld from the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court and that the FISA process was abused. Democrats have defended the actions of the DOJ and the FBI, as they would, because it was them that were doing the abusing. It is a sham that the Inspector General has to devote resources to investigate a conspiracy theory as fact-free, openly political, and thoroughly debunked as the president's so-called FISA abuse. Well, we know that it's no theory. It actually happened. Representative Jerry Nadler said this. He is now the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee, said when the DOJ FBI IG investigation began last year. Any objective review of these claims should tell us what we already know, that the FBI was right, that there was sufficient evidence to continue investigating certain Trump campaign officials for their connections to the Russian government, and that the Republicans are desperate to distract from that investigation. Well, we absolutely know that there was nothing. Okay, this was a complete snow job. They wanted to smear President Trump, and they were willing to do anything possible to make it look like he was colluding with the Russians. He never colluded with the Russians. We know now that it was Hillary Clinton and her team that colluded with the Russians. It was Hillary Clinton who orchestrated the sell-off of 40% of our uranium reserves and gave control of it to the Russians. It was Hillary Clinton and her team creating the false and phony dossier that ended up using Russian sources to put together fake stories about our president. Now, if that's not collusion with the Russians, I don't know what is. Yes, Mantis Mike says, do you ever wake up and just think what the HE double hockey sticks is wrong with Dem voters? Well, here's the thing, Mike. I have thought that on occasion. The thing is that they are brainwashed. They have for years been inundated with the fake news propaganda of the media arm of the Democratic Party. All they do all day is watch things like Rachel Maddow and Donnie Deutsch and Joe and Mika, and they honestly can't get the truth. They just can't process it because all they have is just a bunch of nonsense coming into their heads. Doxy Mom says, love your work and your mom. Where we go one, we go all. Thank you. I love my mom too. She's great. Let's see. What do we have next here? Well, so speaking about the deep state, Trump ripped the deep state today. He said it's time the perpetrators of fraudulent Russia witch hunt defend their treasonous acts. Yes, 20%, not 40%, guys. Sorry about that. President Trump on Saturday ripped the deep state perpetrators of the fraudulent Russia witch hunt in a series of tweets calling their acts treasonous. This is what Trump said. Why should I be defending a fraudulent Russia witch hunt? It's about time the perpetrators of this fraud on me and the American people start defending their dishonest and treasonous acts. How and why did this terrible event begin? Never forget. Peapod says General Flynn was vindicated. Yes, now I just want to see that be put out in the mainstream media, and I want to see that, something official coming out and saying that. So, earlier Saturday, the president called out Crooked Hillary and the DNC, who paid for the phony Russia dossier, which was then used to obtain a FISA warrant and 3 subsequent renewals to spy on campaign advisor Carter Page. So let's get this straight. There was no collusion. And in fact, the phony dossier was a con job that was paid for by Crooked Hillary and the DNC. So the 13 angry Democrats were investigating an event that never happened and that was in fact a made-up fraud. I just fought back. Trump continued by saying this Russia hoax must never happen to another president, adding law enforcement must find out how did it start. And I just fought back against something that I knew never existed. Collusion with Russia, so ridiculous. No obstruction. It's time for President Trump to go on the offense and make the coup plotters pay for their crimes. Here are the hard facts. Demography Now says, can you tell me why anything Trump has done is different than anything Jeb Bush would have? I mean, he talks a big game and always backs off. I will directly address that. Jeb Bush is a weak, spineless jellyfish. He could not or would not have done anything that President Trump has done. Every policy that President Trump has enacted in his time in office has directly benefited the United States and the people of the United States. Jeb Bush would have been just like his big brother and just like his father. And there is absolutely nothing that Jeb Bush would have done that would have been anything like President Trump. Jeb Bush is a slave to the deep state masters. President Trump is not beholden to the deep state masters. So right there, that's exactly it. No other Republican president would have started building the wall. We've got another story about the wall tonight. Jeb Bush would not have said the country is closed. Jeb Bush would have said, please clap after he invited a bunch of illegals to come into the country. The Bush family is evil. The Bush family oversaw much of the downfall of America. The Bush family were directly involved in the coup and the plotting of the death of John F. Kennedy. So I cannot believe that Jeb Bush and Donald Trump are anything alike. Chris Patterson says, Jeff is a goober. Yes, so demography now, while I appreciate the question, I sure hope that you really don't think that Jeb Bush and Donald Trump are anything alike. President Trump doesn't back off. President Trump is a negotiator, okay? President Trump comes to the table. He says things that are, perhaps uncouth to many people. He throws people off their game. He pulls back things that he has promised. But he actually is, getting things done behind the scenes. I defy anyone to tell me or show me anything that another president has done that is anything close to what Donald Trump has done. Let's see. There is a wall, and it's being built right now. I don't think that President Trump is beholden to anyone, but I do believe that President Trump is a Christian, and I think that President Trump sees a difference between people of Israel and perhaps the Israeli deep state. Every country in the world has their own section of the deep state. And there are bad people everywhere. All right. Now, just because there are deep state leaders from America, it would be like someone from another country saying that all people in America are evil because of what their leaders do. I don't believe that's true of any country. We can't say that the people of Venezuela are evil because of the way that their leaders behaved. We can't say the people of Russia are evil because of the way they behaved. The governments of certain countries have more invested with the deep state around the world, but that doesn't mean that you can denigrate the people of any of those countries. That's right. We are saving that country for last. We are saving that country for last, and it's going to happen. It's coming, and we're going to see it. Now, I've got proof that the wall is being built, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the program. But let me finish this article. Here are the cold, hard facts. Hussein and his crooked law enforcement agencies run by Comey, Clapper, and Brennan all conspired to prevent Donald Trump from defeating Queen Hillary Clinton during the 2016 presidential election. Hillary Clinton and the DNC paid former British spy Christopher Steele millions of dollars to compile a phony 35-page dossier from Russian intel sources to smear Donald Trump. Brennan, Clapper, and Comey all promoted the fake dossier with help from the sycophants in the media. The incredibly corrupt FBI Director James Comey allowed the Bureau to use Hillary's phony dossier to obtain a FISA warrant and 3 subsequent renewals. Comey personally signed 3 FISA applications, even though he admitted the dossier, which formed an essential part of obtaining the spy warrants, was unverified. The coup plotters went into overdrive after Donald Trump won the 2016 election, launched an all-out assault on Trump with a $30 million special counsel witch hunt. Robert Mueller was appointed as special counsel by DAG Rod Rosenstein after President Trump fired James Comey as FBI director. Mueller packed his dream team with over a dozen Obama-Hillary donors desperate to remove Trump from office. It was also reported that DAG Rosenstein plotted to wear a wire and record President Trump in order to build a case to remove Trump from office via the 25th Amendment. After a 2-year inquisition and multiple CI investigations where many lives and reputations were destroyed, Mueller concluded there was no Russia collusion. Trump is right. This should never happen again to another president, and there must be HE double hockey sticks to pay for the perpetrators of this hoax. Here's another reason why I know exactly who President Trump is. Have you guys ever seen as organized or as coordinated a plot to take down someone like they have attempted to take down President Trump? If someone is working with the deep state, the entirety of the deep state is not going to work to take them down. President Trump is here to save us, all right? He may not be doing everything the way that you want him to do, but he's doing everything in the way in which it must be done. God is in control. patriots are in control. We sometimes have to agree to believe that things are not going to go our way. Yes, Jody, they fear him. Exactly. They fear President Trump. That is exactly it. Okay, so one more thing on the deep state before we call in my guest. So Forestry Anon, this is your 60-second warning. So there were some new documents that were released by what I believe this was from Judicial Watch, or did this come out? Hang on. Okay, no, HRC dump in the FBI vault. So 2 new documents here of note. One describes Ambassador Stevens worrying about the security situation and having a contracted boat, perhaps for use to run arms to Syria. And the other one talks about the Hillary cover-up operation at Platte River Network. So let's go ahead and take a look at these documents here. So this is from the State Department. This is an email from Huma Abedin to Hillary Clinton. Importance high. Jake may have sent, but just in case not. This is from Timmy Davis. The situation in Abdallah has worsened to the point where Stevens is considering departure from Benghazi. The envoy's delegation is currently doing a phased checkout, paying the hotel bills, moving some comms to the boat, etc. He will monitor the situation to see if it deteriorates further, but no decision has been made on departure. He will wait 2 to 3 more hours, then revisit the decision on departure. He received reports of shelling last night in Ajbadiya, as well as snipers shooting people in the city. AFRICOM reported Gaddafi's forces took the eastern and western gates of Abdallah, with 5 vehicles in the eastern gate and 50 at the western gate. More Gaddafi forces are heading to Abdallah from Brega. The Brits reported Gaddafi forces are moving from Sirte to Brega, which they interpret as preparation for another assault on Abdallah today. He plans to discuss the situation further with the Brits, Turks, and the TNC to see if this is an irreversible situation. The departure would send a significant political signal and would be interpreted as the U.S. losing confidence in the TNC. Initial message to the TNC would frame the departure as due to security grounds and as a temporary measure only. Polishek said he would discuss these developments from Ambassador Kretz. If the group departs, the contract for the boat stipulates they return to Greece. One scenario could be for the group stages elsewhere for a few days. Let's see. Ops will continue to monitor the situation. And then right here, this is actually to and from. It's been redacted. I look forward to it, and I'm kind of freaking about Gresham. Thoughts on what to do with that individual. It's all part of the Hillary cover-up operation. I'll have to tell you about it at the party. SHIT, thanks for the heads up. I am stuck on the phone with CESC again. I've got the IOC in a meeting. Can you take this one? I cannot access the CRM now at all. You should have access to the project planning folder now. Please test and let us know. As for IE11, do we hold off and give the recent CRM and yeah. Okay, so Hillary Clinton cover-up. That is the important portion of this. Katie Chambliss, thank you for that super chat. You guys, I'm so sorry. Give me 60 seconds. I'm going to run and close the window so the dogs stop barking at the neighbors, and I'm going to give them a rawhide. I will be right back. And we're back. Thank you so much for your patience, you guys. The dogs are excellent guard dogs. They are always ready to bark at someone they think looks suspicious. Okay, so now I am going to bring in my guest, US Forestry Anon. Sorry, I'm a little winded. Let me just catch my breath. I do need to have technical difficulty music, you guys. Okay. Again, if anyone wants to send me music, please feel free. I had another song from Lori, the one who made the first song that I played, and I haven't been able to find it in my Twitter messages. I got so many of them. All right, so we're going to call US Forestry Anon. Turn off the sound on your computer.
Oh, wait. It's my TV.
Yeah.
All right.
Hi, US Forestry Anon. How are you?
Good. It's good to talk to you.
Good to talk to you as well. So please, I let the audience know that you are a federal employee and a whistleblower in Washington D.C. What can you tell us about yourself that will allow you to keep your anonymity?
Well, before I do for a second, I was reading that tweet thread that you had right there. Do you not see the mind meld? I mean, like they have their own cue language right there. Mm-hmm. That's the mind meld. They don't even have to discuss anything in between.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
That's how in a sort of D&D world these two are.
Yes, they have a way of communicating so that they can say things without saying things. It's very interesting, and that's...
Yeah, it's not just the code. It's the fact that they're visualizing the world they're in. Yes. They're literally living in two worlds. There's one inside their heads, and that's the one they're creating, and then there's one outside, the dumb ones that don't know the ones in their head.
Right. And that's part of the problem with why they look down on us, because they know that they really are living in a completely separate world.
But they can't focus and they have no memory, and that's why their brains are so jacked up.
Well, it's probably a lot of drinking and all the adrenochrome use as well, I would imagine. Also, I need to say hello to Quite Frankly. Quite Frankly's in the house. Thank you so much for that super chat, buddy. He said, I went to my back porch to see if that's where the dogs were. LOL. Did you hear the dogs freaking out? They wanted a rawhide, so I had to go grab them one.
Yeah, I think you should just throw some like little river band or something up there for a minute when you go out.
Yeah, I got it. Well, the problem is I need to be prepared to do that. Unfortunately I had a migraine before the show, so I was throw
it on in the background. Yeah. Just make it easy.
What I need to do is I have to find music that isn't copyrighted. I have to have copyright free music. Yeah, because they'll shut the show down. There was one time a couple weeks ago where I was in the middle of a broadcast and I played a clip from a documentary, and the background music in the documentary was copyrighted, and they actually shut the broadcast down, and I had to restart the stream and everything. Pretty crazy. All right. So US Forestry Anon, please introduce yourself to us and tell us a little about yourself.
All right. So I would use my name. It would lend credibility. I'm happy to use my full name, but right now it's probably best that I don't. We had this little bit of a discussion that the less I actually divulge, the more I can say, and that can always be divulged as time goes by. So I've worked for the Forest Service since 2012. I came out to D.C. in 2010 as what's called a AAAS fellow. AAAS is the American Association for the Advancement of Science. And it's the largest scientific organization in the world. They produce the journal Science, and their main rival is Nature over in Europe. Those are the naturalists that started. There's an old, the same rivalries exist in science. Right. And that's a very prestigious fellowship. I have a PhD in population and evolutionary genetics from University of California system. I'll just stay more vague on that. And I studied basically population genetics of plants. All the genetics are different. So you're going to be either plants, you're going to be bacteria, you're going to be people, you're going to be yeast, whatever. And so plants, because they have a different chromosomal structure, although I do understand humans, obviously reasonably well. And use that to study invasive species and so forth. So I get this I do well in school, and I went back late. I don't want to give my full background, but I went back late and started as a single mom in my bachelor's degree at 34 and just went all the way through and got my PhD. Found out I actually was pretty good at it. So so anyway, so I kind of took off like a rocket and did a postdoc, and I'm from California. And then I headed out here to DC really against my will, but the economy in California had crashed. I needed something, and I got this prestigious fellowship, and people were just aghast that I wouldn't take it. But I was an outdoor person and really wasn't looking forward to sitting behind a desk. But
Sure.
I figured, it was all about policy. It's a policy/science fellowship, and it's meant to bring 130 or so PhDs into the DC area every year, and have you populate the administrative branch with about 100 of us. And we come in as fellows, and we're all over the place. We interview, it's sort of a co-interview for a week when we come here and decide what office we want to work in, and they decide if they want us, and sort of a dating game thing that goes on. And then you land in an office, and you spend a year, and it's full immersion. And the point is to learn that nexus of science and policy to get out of the ivory tower. And I mean, it's, that in itself is an immeasurable experience. So that's how I came out to DC. And we were encouraged to, and then, by the way, this is telling, it's called the AAAS Mafia, once in, always in. So if you're a AAAS fellow, it opens doors like crazy, and that's been really helpful to me. So, so they encouraged us to leave our area. You're not coming here to be a geneticist, population geneticist. You're coming here to be a general scientist, if possible, and learn about policy. So I did. I went into the Foreign Agricultural Service. Mm-hmm. And that's in the USDA. And I worked there after a year. They loved me, kept me for a second year, boosted me up a GS level, and I'll explain the GS levels later. Mm-hmm. But that's your basic rank and file. It used to be nothing but GS, nothing but, right, until these SCSers got slid in between them and the president. Yep. So anyway, I did great, and they set me. I can explain, at any way, just take it. I've got a lot of experience, a lot of international experience, a lot of interagency experience, a lot of our so-called partners. It was really eye-opening. I obviously learned about globalism. As I shared with you, I'm autistic, which means that I have Asperger's. So my physical needs are quite different, and my need to avoid pharmadox and chemicals and things is if I want to be healthy, that's what I do. And what I was able to see at the global level was, well, that's never going to happen. Right. The way things were, so it was horrifying, but I was so good at what I did. I thought, well, this is sort of God putting me here as a mole in the system. Sure. I can't change anything. So I'm just going to go, full bore enthusiasm. And man, I'll tell you, boy, I got in everywhere. I wrote a white paper for the World Trade Organization. Oh, wow. Okay. I sat at a negotiating table at a bilat with South Korea with a negotiating team for the United States, with the United States Trade Representative. Felt like Forrest Gump. What you're hearing me now is very different from my diplomatic language. So, sure. So anyways, so I had a lot of experience there, but and they had me set up for a full fast track. Oh, your SES material. I didn't at the time know what that meant, except for all of our upper brass were SES. Yeah. So it was flattering, but... Well, now, before you move on, let's talk about the SES thing real quick, because a lot of people want to know what that means. So explain it to us with your experience from being inside and actually working with this structure. Sure. So so the SES is the Senior Executive Service, and they call themselves the SES cadre. And I mean, none of this is hidden. They refer to themselves as the Keystone. Q talks about that many times. And by the way, there are multiple keystones for multiple arches. Yes. So for this particular arch, this is the deep state within the U.S. government. Mm-hmm. So not necessarily our corrupt corporate folks. Those are not SESers. So, they're their own deep state name. No, right. They're part of the cabal. But the deep state within the U.S. government is this SES, the Senior Executive Service. So how did it come about? Right. I haven't actually heard anybody talk about this, but it anticipates Reagan. Okay. So it's brought in by, if you're familiar with Field McConnell and his work. Yes. So his sister Marcy, creepy Marcy, Hillary, lesbian lover. What's her name? Yep. It's not McConnell anymore. I forgot her. Christy Marcy. Kristen Marcy, whatever. Let me just call her Marcy. Anyway, so Marcy, she was deep, thick in the DOJ. I don't remember what her terminal high position was. But what she did was she established two things of note there. One was during Carter administration, and he was the biggest tool. They put in the Senior Executive Service. Now at the time they had something like I think maybe 800 or something like that. The argument was we don't have people with this business knowledge. Basically, we don't have Trumps. We don't have Donald Trumps. So and we can't attract them because the salaries are too low. So we need to, even at the GS Step 10 level, which is as high as you can go, although there were a couple people that weirdo, like secretary, whatever, GS, 16s, there are a few special categories.
Right.
So we got to create this cadre that's going to introduce all of these, business-wise and industry and blah, blah, blah people into the government so we can shape it up. Because obviously, and perfect timing because it's Carter and he's all, dopey-do. Mm-hmm. So so they construct this thing, the Senior Executive Service. That's why it's called executive and senior executives. And so the SESers. So they construct this thing and they throw it in there and they throw in like 800 of these individuals, I guess, strategically placed with the knowledge, because, they do this, decades ahead with the foreknowledge that this is going to grow in the future. Mm-hmm. And Obama took it from 1,000 to like 4,500 or something like that, which explains my boss. That's a lot.
Yes.
When you think about the pyramid structure of each agency, and I also want to do a little Schoolhouse Rock review on structure of government, by the way. People mess up agency, department, etc.
Sure.
But anyways, when you consider that pyramid structure, there's not many at that top. It gets small real fast if you've got a math mind. So, but all those people are SESers, and that's another reason why it sharpened that point so sharp, at the different agencies and allowed for that kind of collusion to even happen because the GS-15s.
And isn't there like the point of it also is so that they can do interagency transfers at that managerial level?
Yes, that's key. So this is part of the thing you buy in. It's just like if you become a military officer, mm-hmm. you have to you go through your SES training, and really it's like they do the retreats and let me tell you what, ultimately that their retreats get real creepy. So we are the Forest Service, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, so they do all of that, and I've had all the training smack to the door. I was part of the senior leader program, a couple of years ago, where we are like the up and coming, all eyes on you, which I don't know if that's helped me. But anyway, so I'm like smack at that door where they're like, please, apply, please apply. No, thanks.
Yeah.
So, yes. So track me back because I went off on a side.
Okay. So you were just about to talk about, you had given us the background on your own experience. Let's move into
I have to finish with SES so you understand
that.
Right.
Okay.
So Carter, right. So they brought it in, they slid it in. So this predates Reagan. They anticipated Reagan, 1978. Think about this. Reagan ran. The election was in 80.
Yep.
That was the big shift over to like the last presidential president we ever had before Trump.
Right. Okay, so you're saying that they created the SES as a stopgap to kind of hold back any movement that Reagan was going to make in kind of cleaning up the swamp.
They put a mafia in, so he can't even direct his own people.
Okay.
Yes, and they have their own rules and laws and regulations and things, and Congress shelters them because, my gosh, right there's your open door between the administration and the Congress. That's the swinging door. The SES is the swinging door.
Okay, so real quick, one question. Someone had mentioned that Joe Scarborough is SES, and so he used to be a congressman. Now, of course, he works at MSNBC, but once you attain...
He can't be.
This is part of the question. So I had seen the information showing that people who were previously SES in government, then once they move out into the private sector, they're still considered SES? Are they still?
AAAS Mafia, SES Mafia, yes.
Okay,
yes,
it's more than just having the title. Are they still receiving a government salary once they move out into the private sector?
Yes.
You're kidding me.
No, and oftentimes the salary equals their paycheck.
Wow. So they So is it?
So what do they lose? They lose the day-to-day contact.
Yeah.
Sort of. They back channel, but they lose that type of access, the freely coming through the door with your badge, et cetera.
Yeah.
So they get signed in easily, but they'll come back as consultants and whatnot and make even more money off us.
Yeah.
But my boss makes 3 times my pay and has a third my education, and I can't even fractionalize his brain power. I mean, it's just bleh.
Wow.
Yes.
So they could be operating as like as an
They are.
they're
I know one
as
right
an,
now
yeah.
is doing it.
Yeah,
He's a former undersecretary. I'm not going to give a name, but
Yeah.
yes, he's a former undersecretary. Yes, absolutely, in the USDA, and he's a big part of that chain network. And then that networks in with universities and a whole lot of other stuff. Every single thing is connected. It's a web. When I came here, I hadn't even been here for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at FAS Foreign Ag, and my boss and her laterals were all thrilled with all this stuff. I was grabbing low-hanging fruit and just knocking it out.
Mm-hmm.
And but within my second year, long after I'd gotten the awards and the accolades and all of that, they didn't seem to notice that those things got like just shifted back. And I realized this is like a Jello ball. This place is like a gelatin ball, like a firm gelatin ball. I mean, it's a matrix. It's like a gelatin. It's a plasma of some sort. And if you try to move a game piece, the plasma feels it, and it will pull it right back.
Yeah. So I mean, could it be that they shower people with accolades? And then so they identify you, they give you the accolades, and then they move you into maybe a more innocuous position or give you something else to work on so that you're no longer, maybe working on something that's going to be as effective?
Can you give me better context for that question? Are you talking about the SESers?
Well, I'm talking about like the stuff you were doing, because you said that, you were doing work that was that was good, and then
yes.
They brought attention to it, and then
yes.
and then didn't they move you on to something else, and then they'd maybe
of course,
try to
yes.
they try to minimize.
Yeah. No, they were still happy. We all moved on. The train was a truckin', it was trade. It's never a dull moment. But what my colleagues and my boss never seemed to notice was that the people above them virtually undid everything. And I think I at some point pointed out to my boss what a shame that was. And she kind of just hung her head and shook her head and was like, yeah, but, we're basically like, we're not the decision makers, and she can't,
right.
She can't like, especially it's diplomacy. It's a very different ball game than over at the Forest Service. Every place is culturally very different.
Okay. Well, let's talk about your experience as a whistleblower.
Right. So the first staff I was on at the Forest Service, I left this lucrative career at FAS to their shock, and actually took a downgrade and went over to the Forest Service as a fellow, went back as a fellow, and got in, 1 year on the policy analysis staff. And this was a staff of principally PhDs. And we were up at the level of in the chief's office, although we sat within research and development arm. There are 3 arms, actually 4 major arms in the Forest Service. One's research and development, one is state and private forestry. And that goes back to our roots. One is National Forest System. That's what you're used to, Smokey and the Rangers.
Yep.
And the final one is the Office of the Chief, which has communications and all that sort of thing. So the Washington office is this conglomerate of the upper 8-ups, of that, and the people who open door cycle back and forth. So I came in as a policy analyst, and I did good work. I can't go into too many details about, my experience on the staff because we'll be here all day. But bottom line is that my boss was just crooked as all get out, and ran this weird cycling. Like girls came in as interns and had to go to these like cocktail mixers and wear a little black dress, to learn the DC way. And they were like, he was getting funneled all of these interns who were being quality checked for supposedly intellectual capacity, but kept noticing how handsome our staff was and how female heavy, and he was like, a champion of women. And then he would cycle them back out with the Forest Service sucks, for women, you need to, it's good for you to go. I mean, just the massive gaslighting. So, but because I'm an Aspie, I that's not the first thing that comes to my mind.
Yeah.
I tend to take things much more literally. So, And boy, he's good. He was raised in religion, and he had all the, he knew Bible verses and stuff. So he same paged me for the longest time. And so when he began to be inconsistent, if again, autists, if anything, are never inconsistent, and we like immediately
Yep.
That went off the rails,
Yep.
So those things, were happening, and I was beginning to do the what big teeth grandmother you have thing, not realizing, because I already had an established relationship with him, and we had a tight staff and everything. So So in 2013 was the first time I was smashed into, inexplicably, and I had a brain injury. I was rear-ended by someone going full speed when I was at a stop, right here in D.C.
Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. So, someone drove into you while you were driving down the road, and this was like right after you had called attention to the practices that were taking place in your office?
Well, I hadn't called any attention. I had just been going to my boss because he and I already had an established relationship. He really created a really tight camaraderie on our staff, culture, close relationships. So because he was a gaslighter, he's a deep state gaslighter. He has to have had some sort of the what is that, MK Ultra, something must have happened to him because he's just too good. But anyway, so that's the culture and everything that he had created. I blew that up because he didn't expect he was going to get an ASPE on the, so everyone else, when they would begin to sense the weirdness, they'd just leave because it was in such sharp contrast to the joy that but I latched onto the joy. So I kept the joy, and I kept the joy going.
So you had told me before that there have been multiple instances of people driving into you while you're just driving down the street. So
3 times.
Yeah, tell me about that.
All right. So the first time was in 2013, and again, I had no sense that any of these were connected until I was home injured from the third time and had a ton of freeze time for my brain to just play Rubik's Cube. So the first time was in 2013. It was a Saturday morning. I was on my way to karate. I have a black belt in Okinawan karate. And I had just gotten my black belt, actually, 8 weeks before to the day. And I'd flown back to California and tested. And so I was back out here going down to train at a similar type of style kind of karate down in Alexandria, which means I'm in Maryland. So the DC is small. It's just that it's so tight and hard to get through. So, I'm right on the border. I'm a mile from the DC border. So I'm Maryland by address. So I head off, down the, the main drag here that turns into the one that drops you off there at the Capitol and Union Station. And I get down near Union Station, and then you veer off and you go off onto this one Highway 395 that goes under the National Mall and the Capitol and all that to get out of there. So, it's a common congestion area. But it was a Saturday morning, 8 o'clock. And I was having a great time, and I was listening to the radio, and I never forget Dexy's Midnight Runners. Come On, Eileen was on there, and I was singing away. It was an awesome day. It was June. I was wearing a green shirt, white pants. Sorry, I had to throw that in. And I had the window down. I mean, the weather was perfect, like 80 degrees. Just awesome. Like I was just, in my element. And so I turn off New York Avenue. I turn off Capitol onto New York, and you only go a few blocks, and then you're going to turn left onto Highway 395 and go up underneath the Capitol and all that stuff. So I'm sitting there, and I'm like the 7th car back behind at the light.
Okay.
And, songs blaring away. I'm having a great time. I look in the rearview mirror, and this car's coming behind me, and there's no change in its speed.
Mm-hmm. Did you, when it was coming at you, did you get a look at the driver?
No.
You couldn't see their face? Okay.
No, I could only see this sort of champagne-y colored mid-sized sedan zooming at me.
Okay.
I mean, zooming at me. So my automatic response, because I'm in a line of cars and I don't want to be in a 3-car accident, is to just crank my foot down on that brake as hard as possible.
Okay.
And he hit me at, full speed. He was going 35.
Mm-hmm.
So no airbags deployed because I was so cranked on that brake, but my head snapped forward and back, and I sustained a traumatic brain injury.
Oh, God.
But because the DC police are very corrupt, and I realize in retrospect that someone knew not to respond properly to this accident, They neither took a report, which is illegal, nor did they respond to my suddenly becoming a 3-year-old and walk around happily, having to be dragged out of the street, having no idea what anybody was talking about when they said we needed to exchange information, because that's such a vague phrase, information. My mind exploded. Information. Man, it went off into the quantum world about information. So I could not for the life of me figure out what was going on. There was 3 cars pulled over. There were cops. I was in happy mode. I did not have a care in the world because my memory had been wiped.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have a TBI myself, and it's really unsettling what goes on. I mean, there are so many different symptoms that can take place, but in the aftermath of having your brain rattled, it really is a frightening experience.
Yeah, well, I didn't even know. I had no idea. I was not even unhappy. I mean, I was just like, dang, man. I sent a text. I'm not going to make karate. Someone hit me. No blood, Text my daughter. I mean, I just had no clue. Your brain doesn't know it's her.
No. But it's just, but there's like just what happens in your body and what happens, like it's a shock, you may not realize what's happened, but there's a lot of different things going on, like in the aftermath.
Oh, it was a shock. My memory was just full wiped. It was I remembered, I had a daughter and those basic things, but boy, I mean, so I'm, not normal, and weirdly happy, almost manic. And this, and they send me on my way. And I can't exchange information. So I somehow end up at home with this envelope that they scrawled. They went into my glove box for me, the police here.
Okay.
And they did all the exchanging for me because I was incapable of doing that for myself. Then they had me get in my car and drive away.
Wow. That wasn't a good idea. So we've only got about 5 minutes left, so I want to get into the other incidents. You had multiple incidents of people driving into you in Washington, D.C.
In 2016, I was coming back from visiting my daughter at 10 o'clock at night. She didn't live very far from me, the closest neighborhood in D.C. So 10-minute drive. Again, nice night, nice music low on the radio, respect, just kind of thinking about my day. And all of a sudden, wham, I get shoved over a half lane out of nowhere and I'm broadsided. I never saw the car coming because it hit the passenger side on my side. But it was such a massive jolt. Now this was a different type of a head injury because it knocked me side to side.
Right.
So it reconcussed me, and there's a whole vision story behind that. So that's another one. So then after that, in September this past year, I'm on my way in to work at 7:10 in the morning. Got a big day ahead of me. I'm meeting with some tribal people after work also, et cetera, et cetera. And some guy, I'm going through it's a busy residential area. It's residential, but it's not like a suburb. I mean, this is DC. But my piece of road has no stop signs. It's the thoroughfare. The side roads all have stop signs and speed bumps and the whole 9 yards. But this guy, I see nothing. I'm just, going there, really literally talking to God about my day, and all of a sudden I just see white. And the first thing that comes in my mind is so typically Aspie, I think, did I just get blown up? What just happened? And then I feel myself spinning. And I realized, and it's still white. It was actually the side airbags. That's the whole sheet went off, and it sort of blinded me. But it also blew out my left eardrum, so I was deaf in my left ear. So everything went eerily quiet. That's why I felt like I was in the afterworld. And then I felt myself spinning, and I spun 360 and then 180, and ended up outside of the intersection. Just a tiny bit down, literally parallel parked to the car next to that was parked on the curb. 5 inches, 5 by 5 inches, practically stem to stern. I mean, it looked like God did it. I could feel my tires squealing sideways, and I can tell you about all my multidimensional experiences that happened during that few seconds. But that's what happened. So blew out my eardrums, and then it gave me a spinal injury, and so.
So and were these other incidents, were they at all associated with any of the whistleblowing activity that you were in, or do you think that it was just blowback after the fact?
No, because I had done no whistleblowing by 2013. That was the startling connection that I made.
Oh, okay.
I only had the potential for it.
Okay. All right. And
that's how deep my old boss goes. He knew me so well, and he knew my potential. He had already reported out that I was unturnable. I had been brought in specifically to be turned for them. I did not realize that at the time.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
and I was not going. I was not responding to his pleas for me to go, live a better life by leaving the Forest Service. So I was unturnable to the dark side. And, that was very clear. And it wasn't because he had presented me with something and I said no. It was because every time he floated something ludicrous, I would laugh, right? Instead of like, or every time he floated something immoral, I was all over it agreeing with him. I mean, there was nothing that he tested me on that I was turnable on. Not even when he tried to bait me. So I realized in retrospect, there's a lot I figured out in retrospect and then done some research on.
Well, yeah, the process to mold someone and to get them to do the bidding of these people is probably long, and there's a lot of it that goes under the radar. You don't realize
and
it,
they're connected to everything. When I say they're connected to your dry cleaner, I'm not kidding you.
Yeah,
I have an attorney, and he's dirty, and I've been having to navigate that masterfully. That's a psych game with him. I've let him know. I haven't let him know that I know he's dirty at all, but I've let him know that I'm completely monitored right now by the government, and so make sure he keeps everything clean. And so I mean, I'm having to fend. They're in my maintenance company and in my condo building. They've tried baiting me. I've had packages that arrive at my door I'm supposed to sign for that rattle like pills that I'm like, nope, I never ordered anything. Well, this is for you. I'm like, that's my address, but my name's not on it.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've actually heard of that happening before, because what they'll do is they will attempt to entrap people, and they'll send them something like that, because then you're involved in interstate commerce of illegal drugs or something like that.
Well, the Verizon guy left something here, and I threw it in the trash bin. A piece of equipment.
Yeah. Well, Forestry Anon, we've got to take off because I've got to get into the news for the rest of the hour. But I want to thank you very much for joining us. And did you have anything final that you wanted to leave us with?
No, nothing other than my days are spent frustrated at not being able to contribute while I'm home, basically in a safe house, which ironically I prepped, right? Because I thought we were going to have civil unrest. I didn't know I was going to be living off my own prep. But so anytime. Okay. And I'll talk to you about the Forest Service, and I'll explain other things, and how the connections are made, and anything else that drives me crazy, like that dang Amazon picture with that Pkwy guy. Turn it upside down. Yes, I sent that photo so many times.
I saw that.
Yeah, it means something. So people like me, we're looking at those and we're like, because I see it right away. I didn't have to turn it upside down. Yeah. So anytime my brain normally is active at work, and right now it's only active when I have to parry their crap.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I do appreciate it, and I hope you stick around for the rest of the show and take a listen.
Going to do that. Thank you much.
Yep. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so once again, thank you very much for US Forestry Anon for joining us. She was involved in whistleblowing on activities. Her boss was involved in a revolving door kind of casting couch situation with young interns at the Forestry Service. And just want to say thank you very much for having her join us. I put in that information about the Voice of God technology there because the way that she and I were talking about the situation, the people that smashed into her, like two of them ended up being illegals, and they both had, complete confusion about what had happened and foregoing and what happened to them. They had no memory of driving into her, much like the incident that took place with that woman who drove across the freeway to drive into President Trump when his convoy was going by. If you guys remember, she had no memory of what was going on. And again, she is a fellow autist, so she's very hung up on the details. She needs to get all that stuff out. So she and I are going to talk about the other stuff that happened so that we can put it together and then do a story about it so that it doesn't dox her. She said enough to not dox herself right there. I saw some people worried about that they were worried that she had doxed herself, but she has not doxed herself. Her and I talked about what she could speak about prior to so that she would be able to be safe and maintain her anonymity. I do have a couple of thank yous to give. We have, let's see. First of all, Tanette Booth wanted to know about missing 411. I promise that I will speak to her about that. And we'll see if she knows anything about what's going on with missing 411. That is an excellent subject. I would so like to hear about that. If I could get in touch. What's his name? David Paulides. David Paulides. He is an amazing guy. So thank you for that super chat. CUATDSNY said, having fun tonight with you guys. Thanks for all you do. Thank you very much for that super chat. Glad you're here. Terrible Kid. Oh my gosh, she does know about missing 411. She just messaged me. Terrible One Kid. Thank you for those 2 super chats. Celia Burns. She said, this guest is awesome. Thank you so much, Celia. I appreciate that. Ray Hawley, thank you for that super chat. Greg Gilman says, what is that, YouTube Red? Not much, but it's yours. I don't know what that means exactly, Greg, but if you subscribe to YouTube Red, then thank you very much, because that does that they support me. Tanette Booth says, I think that's the name of a troll, and then Row 3 Bo. Both of you, thank you very much for that super chat. So yeah, there was the picture that our favorite Anon put out from inside. Let's see. Could you please have a word about the rudeness tonight on the chat? Yeah. I haven't been watching too much of the chat, you guys, while I was speaking with my guest, but I just want to remind everyone. Here's the first thing. YouTube is toxic. People come here specifically to be toxic. If you want to have a discussion, then please have a discussion. But there's no reason to be unnecessarily rude. I just want to ask everyone to be respectful to each other. There's nothing wrong with having a difference of opinions. But let's have a conversation about it. Let's not fall in to the paradigm of us and them. We talk about it a lot. There really is an us and them paradigm out there. But we're all here in the same spot, and we're talking to each other, you guys. Let's not be toxic. Let's not be toxic. Let's just be nice to each other. And I can't be Aaron is right. I can't be monitoring the chat. That's not my job. I have to be talking about the stories. Of course, I do look at the chat. I've got to give, a back and forth. I love interacting with you guys. But we will bring back Forestry Anon, and we will specifically talk about 411 next time. But here, we're going to move on back to the news, you guys, because we've only got 55 minutes. Now, if you guys didn't know, Hussein visited Berlin the other day to have a meeting with Angela Merkel. Former U.S. President B.O. traveled to Berlin on Friday to meet with Chancellor Merkel at her private office. German officials characterized the meeting as routine. I think it's not very routine for a former president to go and meet with the current heads of state of other countries and specifically work on distracting from the agenda of the current president of the United States. Merkel's spokesman, Stefan Siebert, defended the meeting as standard operating procedure and said she has met repeatedly with ex-heads of state and government, with whom she worked together closely for a long time. He said the meeting has no implications for current German-U.S. relations. I believe that's a lie. Asked whether it was a signal to President Donald Trump, with whom Germany has a sometimes complicated relationship, Siebert replied, I would firmly reject that impression. Here is a photo of them yesterday. This is them meeting at the airport, waving. Let's go ahead and take a look at this from Forsan News EN. Okay, there to discuss the strained transatlantic relationship. He is directly interfering with official U.S. government business. Okay, this former president has no standing any longer. He has no reason to be out there and meeting with this former head of state. He is working on attempting to disrupt the agenda of the United States and President Trump. Tanette Booth said, JoJo still needs a wrench. I took care of that. Thank you for that super chat. Alexandria Occasional Cortex also left a super chat. Thank you, Alexandria. Don't worry, we are going to catch your Instagram video. And Kimberly Bogan says, Kevin, Kim, Lander, and Kiana in the house. Go Team Bogan, loving RP78. I'm loving you too. Thank you so much. This is treason. He is interfering. He is meddling in U.S. business. Recall, B.O. met with globalist Chancellor Angela Merkel in 2017 to discuss democracy. More like discussing treason and sedition. Let me copy this link so I can add it to the... Let's see. I just got some type... Here we go. Oh, Matthew says, that's not all he did with Merkel, my friend. They meet about the UN, Brexit, and illegal immigration. Excellent. Excellent drop for me, Matthew. Thank you very much for passing that information along. I'm sure they did talk about a lot of different things. And all of it is no good for the United States. Nathan Scheil, why is he meeting with her? Does he think he's still the president? He is essentially the shadow president. He is the front and center of the deep state in the globe. He is doing their bidding for his puppet handlers and for his master. Let's see. DW Rain says, wow, pretty sad when our Red Pill 78 has to ask people to have common courtesy in the chat. This chat has always been one of my favorite for nice, decent people. I was late because my daughter was buried. Oh, Diane, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to hear that. Oh, hon. Let's pray. Let's pray for DW Rain 1, please. I'm very, very sorry for your loss, my friend. Now, here is Obama speaking in Berlin. He said, Michelle would leave me if I ever ran for office again. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Let's see. Former President Barack Obama arrived in Berlin Friday to meet with Chancellor Angela Merkel at her office in private. Oh, my daughter's home. Let me ask her if she can let the dogs out. Oh, and look at this. Matthew also commented and said that the same thing happened to Cody Snodgrass. Cody Snodgrass was some type of former operator with the United States government. I'm going to actually have him as a guest. I've been trying to get a hold of him for like a week, but it just keeps I keep not being able to connect with him. So I'm going to be giving Cody a call. Jody, hopefully I will be getting him on the show very, very soon. Okay, let me see, you guys. I need to ask my daughter to let the dogs out. Chloe? Honey, can you please let the dogs out? Okay, great. Alright, so... Sorry, guys. On Saturday, the Obama Foundation held a town hall with young civic leaders in Berlin. Obama went back to his roots as a community organizer and said, you can't organize a community if you don't have a community. Nathan Child drops another super chat and says, sorry for your loss to DW Rain 1. I'm so sorry for your loss. My heart goes out to you. At one point, arrogant Obama told the crew that if his wife Michelle would leave him if he ever ran for office again. I'm not here to support any political party. I've held my last office. The Obama Foundation is nonpartisan. Michelle would leave me if I ever ran for office again, Obama said. Yes, David Munyon says Angela Merkel is the daughter of A.H., the former chancellor of, what was he? Yeah, former leader of Germany and big player in World War II. I've definitely heard that myself. So... let's take a quick listen to what Barack Obama had to say.
Now, I'm not here to support any political party. I've held my last political office. The Obama Foundation is nonpartisan. Michelle would leave me if I ever ran for office again.
Let's see. Let's see. Donald Trump's White House victory in 2016 was a direct repudiation of Obama's disastrous presidency. Of course, he's too arrogant to ever admit that. Obama almost destroyed America. President Trump came in and he literally saved our country. Michael Cody says BHO, community organizer, equals BS artist. That is right. He is the very definition of a BS artist. Let's see, you guys. I'm going to have to close my Skype, you guys, because I can't... okay. Matthew's going to talk to Cody and let him know that I want to have him on. Oops. Let's see. All right, so White House slams the vicious viral Twitter lie falsely accusing President Trump of calling asylum seekers animals. You guys, this made me angry when it happened initially. All right, he was clearly not talking about asylum seekers. He was talking about the MS-13 crews that were coming into America. Senior White House official Mercedes Schlapp slammed a viciously false viral tweet of a year-old video of President Trump calling MS-13 gang members animal, that the poster Mark Elliott falsely captioned, "Real Donald Trump on people asking for asylum. These aren't people, these are animals." Elliott's tweet was posted Friday evening as Trump was in California inspecting new replacement border fencing. The video was picked up from a misleadingly edited C-SPAN tweet from May 16, 2018. The view counter showed over 13 million views as of Saturday afternoon. However, just under half of those views likely occurred before the reposting by Elliott. Regardless, Elliott's smear of Trump has gone viral enough to require a response from the White House. High-ranking Democrats, including presidential candidates as well as prominent Trump critics, have promoted the viral lie. Schlapp, an assistant to the president serving as director of strategic communications, posted Saturday afternoon, "Complete lie from Mark Mobility tweet. POTUS was talking about MS-13 gang members as animals." Now let's go ahead and see what the Democrats see, what the left sees when they watch a tweet like this.
We have people coming into the country or trying to come in. We're stopping a lot of them. But we're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals. And we're taking them out of the country at a level and at a rate that's never happened before. And because of the weak laws, they come in fast. We get them, we release them, we get them again, we bring them out. It's crazy. The dumbest laws, as I said before, the dumbest laws on immigration in the world. So we're going to take care of it, Mark. We'll get it done. We're going to ask that man right there.
Sorry, guys, I didn't realize the audio was a little bit low. But here's the thing. President Trump had much more to say before this clip was selectively edited. He was clearly talking about MS-13. Let's go ahead and take a listen again real quick. Tell me, this is as loud as it can go. It's turned up all the way.
We have people coming into the country or trying to come in. We're stopping a lot of them. But we're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people.
Talking about MS-13, completely selectively edited. The full context of Trump's remarks show he was responding to a complaint by Fresno County Sheriff Margaret Mims about California's sanctuary laws protecting illegal aliens from including MS-13 gang members. Now, the reason I am talking about this, you guys, is because this is the kind of stuff that the left is fed by. This is what they see. These are the kinds of things that we need to red people on. People see this on the left, they see the news reporting it, and they run with it, and they talk about what a terrible person President Trump is. No, you have to take this in context. You have to look at the full quote. But these people are brainwashed. Nathan Scheil says, you can see the family resemblance because of the the mustache. Oh, all right. Thanks for the super chat. So this is from April 1st. All right, but it's the most recent update we've had on the situation with John Huber. And it's from the Washington Times. John Huber leaves Congress in the dark on the FBI probe. It's like, where's Waldo? Attorney General Jeff Sessions thought he had already answered calls for a special counsel to look into the FBI's handling of sensitive political investigations when he named a Utah prosecutor to conduct an inquiry and report back. Diana Davenport says, Forestry Anon was great. P.S. I left you a Discord for later. Thank you very much, Diana. I appreciate that. Thank you for the super chat. I'll get back to you on that. Now, nearly 18 months later, there has been nary a public peep from U.S. Attorney John Huber, the man Mr. Sessions assigned to get to the bottom of things. Likely witnesses say Mr. Huber never contacted them, and members of Congress say they are still in the dark despite regular pleas to see progress. It concerns me that we haven't heard a darn thing, Representative Jim Jordan, Ohio Republican, told the Washington Times last week. It's like, where's Waldo? Where's Huber? With all due respect to Jim Jordan, the point is, the reason they haven't heard anything is because this is an ongoing investigation. John Huber is so deep in destroying and draining the swamp, he cannot talk about things like this. He cannot discuss this because he will compromise the investigation. There are probably grand juries taking place as we speak. Mr. Huber's assignment is coming under scrutiny as top Republicans, including President Trump, demand a Justice Department investigation into the way the FBI and Justice Department targeted Mr. Trump's campaign and his associates in 2016 while looking to give Hillary Clinton a pass on criminal wrongdoing, as Republican lawmakers allege. When it was revealed last year that the FBI used questionable information to obtain a wiretap of former Trump campaign advisor, Mr. Sessions faced calls for a special counsel. He rejected those calls, saying he already had asked Mr. Huber to investigate, and with the power to call a grand jury, Mr. Huber was supposed to be every bit as adept as a special counsel. Mr. Sessions was ousted, or rather resigned, last year. William P. Barr is now ensconced as head of the Justice Department, yet it's unclear what that means for Mr. Huber and his secret work. Legal analysts say he should have produced some evidence of progress after more than a year. There should be some proof of life, says Andrew Leipold, a law professor at the University of Illinois who served as a consultant on special counsel Kenneth W. Starr's Whitewater investigation. We should see people going in and out of his building, people interviewed leaking to the press, or a target calling a press conference, he said. The fact that none of this has happened is puzzling. They are doing such deep dives on these people, you guys. This is more important. This is a deeper criminal investigation than anything we've ever seen. This is not just the president sleeping with an intern or the president doing a dirty real estate deal. These are the worst of the worst. And the people that are involved, Huber's team, we've been told there have been no leaks. There's a reason there have been no leaks. There should not be any leaks. It's against the law for them to leak. And the people that are working on this are actually good, honest, decent people. They know that if they put this information out there, they will compromise the investigation, and it will put everything in jeopardy. We cannot allow that to happen. Carter Page, the former Trump advisor who was the subject of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act snooping warrant, said he hasn't heard from Mr. Huber. He said he's not concerned, but others are frustrated. Victoria Tensing, a former Justice Department prosecutor and now a private lawyer, represents a whistleblower against the Clinton Foundation. This witness, Doug Campbell, is an FBI informant who says he has evidence that Mrs. Clinton helped a Russian company obtain U.S. uranium rights in exchange for large donations to the foundation, known as the Uranium One scandal. Although the Uranium One allegations are within Mr. Huber's purview, Ms. Tensing has heard nothing from him. She has not reached out to Mr. Huber, but said he should have contacted her within the first 2 months of his investigation. It's a head fake, a farce, she said of the Huber investigation. It was an attempt by Sessions to get Republicans off his back. I'm embarrassed for them because they fell for it, and I hope something happens now. I take issue with Ms. Tensing. I'm glad that she is representing Doug Campbell, but I don't believe that that this is a farce. I don't believe it's a head fake. Texas Girl, thank you for that $17 super chat. This patriot loves what you do for the cause. This is for some vape juice and puppy snacks. Thank you so much. I do appreciate it. One moment. There have been some tantalizing bits of data. Appearing before Congress in November, Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz confirmed that he had several contacts with Mr. Huber, but he refused to explain further. I think you need to talk to him about what scope and what he's working on, he told Mr. Jordan. I wouldn't begin to presume I know all of what he is necessarily working on. I think that is a little information about the scope of his investigation is broad. It's not just the Clinton Foundation. It's not... Diana Davenport says, proof of life, not Huber investigation, RBG. Thank you for the super chat. The Justice Department, Mr. Huber's office, and the Inspector General declined to comment on the investigation or even confirm whether it is still open. It's still open because they're not talking about it. A spokeswoman for Mr. Sessions also declined to comment. I can remember all kinds of investigations that went on in secrecy when I was Attorney General, and properly so, he said. The less that is said about an ongoing probe, the better. It is absolutely proper to not speak about a probe until you have an outcome or no announcement at all if there is no indictment. Others aren't convinced by such reasoning and say they want to see more activity. Hold on, Muffin needs up. Or, oh no, you want a rawhide. Okay. Now, you guys, when I say rawhide, what they actually are is strips of chicken. It's chicken, pork, and then a little bit of rawhide, and they're all braided together. So it's very interesting for the dogs to chew on, and they love it. Let's see here. The Mueller probe is what a real investigation looks like, said Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. There were grand juries, indictments, subpoenas, and fights in court. I don't know why people are putting their hopes in a secret investigation. Well, I love Tom Fitton, and I love Judicial Watch, but unfortunately, Tom Fitton is not privy to exactly what's going on in the investigation. I know what Tom Fitton is used to seeing, what he is used to hearing about. But this investigation is unlike any that's come before it. This is the takedown of the deep state. This is the rooting out of evil. There are so many incredible things that are going to come out, but they're not going to come out until it is an airtight case, you guys. And Tom Fitton is just not privy to that information. So, I would love to see Tom Fitton in a position at the Justice Department, but I think he's got a lot of good work that he needs to do at Judicial Watch. One possibility for the lack of information is that Mr. Huber doesn't want to upstage the Inspector General's inquiry into some of the same matters. Yet for some Republicans, only a new special counsel can get to the bottom of things. Senator Lindsey Graham, South Carolina Republican and chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, is among those calling on Mr. Barr to name such a special counsel. Mr. Graham told the Times that he has not received any updates from Mr. Huber, but doesn't intend to call him before the Senate. He said he would defer to Mr. Barr on how to handle the investigation. I want to give Barr a chance to set it up the way he wants to, Graham said. Mr. Meese disagreed. He said the Justice Department's public integrity section on Mr. Horowitz should investigate the allegations. This should be handled by the regular personnel of the Justice Department who are dedicated to handling things like this, he said. There is no reason to have a special counsel as such because it only confuses things. You have to do things like set up new procedures and hire lawyers from the outside. And the point is that all of these lawyers have already been hired. Mr. Huber, his team, Mr. Durham, his team, they have already been hired. They have already been working, and they are already doing the investigation. So I honestly think, you guys, that Trump is going to stretch this out for a couple of years. As hard as that is for us to hear, I believe that it has to be stretched out because he's going to use it as a tool for the next election. Trump must be elected in the next election. If he is not elected, then the country is going to go to, back in a handbasket down below, okay? And in order for President Trump to use this information wisely and in a timely fashion, he's got to bring it out in terms of the next election cycle. Think about how politics works. The deep state has been using all of their ammunition because they are so scared of President Trump, all right? They need to do anything they can, and they thought that by bombarding him with all of these things, they were going to completely destroy his ability to be effective. Well, we know that didn't work. Trump has been incredibly effective all the way around. The storm is here, essentially. We might be in the eye of the storm. Yes, he must be reelected. And our favorite Anon is AWOL. I've seen a lot of comments going by about our favorite Anon being AWOL. But we're not going to get the information unless it's necessary, you guys. If there's nothing for them to communicate to us, then they won't. Chi-Chi, you get one more, buddy. This is it. Go. Go away. You guys, this is it. Go. Nathan Shiles says, we better pray that they don't take the Electoral College away. We better pray. The Electoral College being taken away would be a seriously bad news for our country. Let's see. Here we are. Breitbart. Jill Biden admits that her husband's constant touching once made her feel strange. I would feel strange. That would definitely twerp me out. Moby Blue, slow mode is on, so you can only post once every 45 seconds. And that's because there's so many people in the chat. We have over 2,600 people in the chat. So just keep that in mind. No one is deleting your posts, you guys. Just space them out. Let's see. So former Second Lady Jill Biden writes in her forthcoming memoir that her husband and his family's touchy-feely style made her feel strange and uncomfortable when the pair first began dating, according to the Daily Mail. The report comes as several women have come forward to accuse former Vice President and possible 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden of inappropriate touching in recent days. He was always holding my hand, putting his arm around me, or brushing the hair from my face. When they began dating, the former Second Lady writes in her deeply personal memoir, Where the Light Enters, Building a Family, Discovering Myself, due out next month, and exclusively obtained by the Daily Mail. She admits that being thrust into a family of huggers made her feel strange and uncomfortable, writing that Joe and his two young sons never wanted to miss a chance to hold a hand, wrap their arms around each other, or give a kiss. So what they're doing here is they're trying to set Joe Biden up as an innocent toucher. All right, but we know there's nothing innocent about the way that Joe Biden touches people or puts his nose and hands on people. So in her first public appearance since the allegations, Biden on Friday made light of his tendency to be affectionate while delivering a speech aimed at winning back the white blue-collar workers who backed President Donald Trump in 2016. Good luck, Joe. In a pointed reference to his own current controversy at the beginning of the 40-minute speech, the former vice president embraced Lonnie Stevenson, the male president of the IBEW. He told his audience, I just wanted you to know I had permission to hug Lonnie. The quip was met with cheers. Biden was alluding to a controversy that began last week, but us Anons, we know that this controversy has been brewing for years. We know that Joe Biden is a creep. He has been putting his hands on people for a long time. It's not a new story that's coming out. It's just a new story for the Democrats to be going after him for doing it. Oh, and look, halfway through his speech, he calls a bunch of kids up on stage so that he can get his hands on them. By the way, he gave me permission to touch him, okay? Everyone knows I like kids better than people. Very interesting remark. Biden told reporters he would not apologize for his affectionate style and conceded he wouldn't be shocked if additional allegations surfaced. Yeah, he's just putting it out there. Yeah, guys, I touched a lot of people in my time, and you're probably going to see stories about it coming out. So here we have veteran-owned Black Rifle Coffee. They trolled Joe Biden. Look at this. Veteran-owned Black Rifle Coffee trolled the heck out of Creepy Hands Biden in a video that went viral on Friday. Tanette Booth says, Trump Jr., Melania, Ivanka, maybe not that order. Are these the people that you want to run for president after Trump? Thank you for the super chat. The chickens are coming home to roost for former Vice President Joe Biden after years of groping women and molesting children out in the open. Former Democrat lawmaker Lucy Flores opened the floodgates of hashtag #MeToo, #PoundMeToo accusers after she came out and shared her story of how Joe Biden inhaled her hair and inappropriately touched her back in 2014. Ever since then, the memes have been flying. President Trump, we showed that last night, even joined in on the trolling and tweeted a video of Biden sniffing his own hair in a post on Twitter. Black Rifle Coffee, who is known for their quirky over-the-top advertisements, lit up Twitter on Friday with this epic video that has thousands of comments with retweets. Make sure Uncle Joe doesn't get near your Black Rifle Coffee. Let's take a listen. Oh, make sure Uncle Joe doesn't get near your Black Rifle Coffee. make sure to support our friends and veterans at Black Rifle Coffee. You can do that in the links in the show notes below. Let's see. I think I'm going to try some Black Rifle Coffee. I like that. All right, so I told you we're going to talk about the wall. We are going to talk about the wall. Donald Trump visited the wall yesterday. Now, President Donald Trump visited a new barrier on the southern border on Friday, touting success for his campaign promise to build a big, beautiful wall. Michael Cody says memes are essential, drive ops insane. That's right. Memes are essential in this war. That is true. Now, so we saw the video yesterday of President Trump meeting with ICE and the Border Patrol. Untitled 21 says Biden 2020, a man in touch. That's right. A man in touch with his constituents. So take a look right here. You guys know what that is? That's the new wall. We've done a lot of it, and we're doing a lot more, Trump said to reporters who joined him on the trip. It looks great. Do you guys know what was here previously? Some ineffective fencing. Some very, very low-quality fencing that had been put in by previous administrations. So what did we do? President Donald Trump and the Army Corps of Engineers built a giant, big, beautiful wall of steel slats topped with razor wire. All right? This is a wall. This is a wall right here. The president built it. So don't tell me that the wall is not being built. It is happening. It's happening. The steel border barriers were at the Mexico border of Calexico, replacing existing fencing. It's better and much more effective than the previous wall, and we actually can do it faster. It's less expensive, if you can believe it, Trump said. So it's better, faster, and less expensive. Trump spoke out in front of a concrete barrier that was shorter, but pointed to a barrier constructed of steel slats that could be up to 30 feet high. I would say the majority would be in this style, he said. The president was joined by law enforcement and Border Patrol agents at the border, and he urged them to speak to the reporters present. You guys are my friends, Trump said. Come on over here. Say hello to the fake news, fellas. Fake news! Fake news! Border Patrol Chief Gloria Chavez explained to reporters that the wall had already made a big difference at the border. Just here, in these 2 miles, our assaults have dropped 65%. Just in this area. That's very important to me as chief because I don't want our agencies hurt. I don't want our agents hurt. I want them to be out here protecting the country and doing their job. In these 2 miles, just illegal entries alone have dropped by 75% just in this area. Lori just dropped a super chat. My friend from the north, $5.49. Thank you very much for that super chat, my friend. Kern County Sheriff Donnie Youngblood was also praising the effectiveness of the wall. We feel this impact from 400 miles away. Each of us have experienced heinous crimes that are committed by people in our country illegally. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank this president for doing the right thing and standing up for law enforcement in this country. It is greatly appreciated, and I just wanted you to know that. Arizona Sheriff Mark Napier urged reporters and members of Congress to take the border crisis seriously. Anyone who would suggest that we do not have a crisis on our southern border is being intellectually dishonest to the point of being dishonest with malice, he said. We have a humanitarian crisis, which is very clear and compelling. Trump supporters came out to celebrate the president's trip, waving flags and signs next to the road to the border. Look at that. People lining up to see our president. Earlier in the afternoon, Trump hosted a roundtable to highlight the crisis at the border and told migrants and illegal immigrants that they should turn around. The system is full, whether it's asylum, whether it's illegal immigration. Our country is full. Our area is full. The sector is full. We can't take you anymore, he said. I'm sorry, so turn around. That's the way it is. That is the way that it is. Now, I had a story here about some misrepresentation right here. Now, this is disgusting. Again, this is the fake news that the Democrats buy into. This is the fake news that the Democrats buy into. They use it, and they go after our president, and they use it to say that he's ineffectual or that he's not supported. Now, the press pool report stated that there were a handful of supporters lined up for the Trump motorcade en route for the border trip. Now, this video shows that there were hundreds of them, more than just a handful. President Trump was greeted by hundreds of supporters at the start of his motorcade route in El Centro, California Friday, as he headed to inspect new border wall construction at Calexico, California. The press pool report by the Wall Street Journal's Vivian Salama stated the Trump supporters numbered only a handful. Look at that. There are plenty of people there waiting for the president. Pool reports said the president's motorcade arrived at the U.S. Border Patrol Calexico station. The ride was uneventful but scenic through the Imperial Valley, sprawling lettuce fields, and the gorgeous Chocumba Mountains, which stretches across the border with Mexico, as the backdrop. The skies here today are bright blue with the occasional spotting of clouds. The population in Imperial Valley is overwhelmingly Hispanic, mostly with people who trace their origins back to Mexico. There were a handful of supporters lining the roads along the way, with signs, for example, Welcome President Trump, Build the Wall for Our Safety, and Trump-Pence campaign signs, as well as many American flags. There were also a few Q signs, and some children holding pro-Trump signs. Your pooler only spotted a couple of anti-Trump signs, including one that read Stop Trump. As we entered the city, many curious onlookers lined the streets shooting video and taking photos with their phones. I've attached a few photos. Now, video posted by President Trump and local reporters tell a different story. Let's take a look. There were tons of people. Veronica St. Clair, thank you for the super chat. There were tons of people there. Now, of course, Brian Schlonsky says, breaking, President Trump's motorcade passes through a massive group of supporters. Oh, he actually does say massive. Hang on. Slurp louder. Love your authenticity, Red Pill. Thanks, guys. You know, I wear headphones, so I can't even hear it when I'm doing it. So, there are so many people that support our president. President Trump. Yes, I get chills. I think it's electrifying when the president speaks. When I see him at a rally, I've got just tingles going up and down my spine the whole time. Okay? Everything that the president is doing is saving our country. Goosebumps. Goosebumps. The whole time. Greg Gilman, that's right. Goosebumps. Now, hi, Chi-Chi. Listen, buddy, no more. You got a pile of rawhides there, buddy. I'm not giving you another one. So smaller crowds, but more than a handful gathered further down the route. Again, let's take a look. Look at all these supporters for the president. All right, you guys. The next time there's a rally on, we'll watch it together, and I'll be in the chat with you guys. I'm going to stream it on my channel. I've done that a couple of times, but I haven't been able to for the last couple ones. I'm definitely going to do it on the next rally. because I love watching the president speak. He is amazing. Someone said, how could he lose? I think that there is a distinct possibility that the deep state could again try to steal the election. I don't think that he's going to lose, but I don't know anything with absolute certainty. I'm trusting, I'm having faith, but I have to say that there is the possibility that they could do something. All right, but I really do believe that President Trump is protected. That his team are going to keep him safe. Now, look at this. Look at this. This is disgusting. The President Trump baby balloon. Trump supporters baby Trump is here. Trump supporters have made their way over to the outlets in Calexico, hoping to catch a glimpse of President Trump's motorcade. Excellent. Protesters chanting in Spanish gathered near the area where Trump is expected to inspect the border wall. Here it is. There it is. In Calexico. This is the brand new wall they've built. Again, the wall is being built. Look at that. As far as the eye can see. Let's go ahead and... I'm going to have to fix the request here. I think that I need to go like this. Delete this section. Use this link. Here we are. Let's take a closer look, guys. How far down does that border wall go? It goes as far as you can see. All the way around. All right, now it looks like this is maybe a border crossing right here. Go ahead and try to climb it. Go ahead and try to climb it. You guys aren't going to make it. You're going to get up there to the top of that razor wire, and it looks to me like that razor wire is going to be difficult to get over. Now, anti-Trump protesters arrived to the staging area where the president is expected to tour the border fence nearby. You know how else I know that President Trump is not like the Bushes? Nathan Shields says how tall it is. That looks tall. I think they said it was 30 feet in some places. That looks like it's probably about 30 feet to me, 30 feet tall. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm just guessing. If President Trump was like President Bush, he would not have allowed protesters to come and have their free speech. President Bush, President Obama, they had what were called free speech areas. They would corral people into a fenced off or a guarded off area. They would move them away from wherever the president was going to be. And that's where you had to go if you were dissenting with the president. Now, President Trump...
Jamás será vencida. La raza unida. Jamás será vencida. Se puede. Sí se puede. Se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede. Sí se puede.
So President Trump is allowing dissenters, people who don't agree with him, to fully walk down the street, to have a full-fledged protest. It's the American way to allow people to have their say, to have free speech. Okay, they have the right to not agree with our president, but President Trump is not stifling their right. So he is nothing like President Bush or any of the presidents who came before him. Let's see. Let me just add that in. And moving on to the next story. The battle begins. President Trump's attorney blasts the Democrats' request for Trump's tax returns. An attorney for Trump Friday blasted rabid Democrats gunning for the president's tax returns, calling their request a misguided attempt to politicize tax laws in the IRS. William Consovoy said in a statement that lawmakers are harassing the president and interfering with the audit process, Reuters reported. The request for his private tax information are not consistent with governing law, do not advance any proper legislative purpose, and threaten to interfere with the ordinary conduct of audits, Consovoy said. We are confident that this misguided attempt to politicize the administration of the tax laws will not succeed. Juliet's Thoughts says, I know this is off topic, but I hate that you won't show your face just because I am sick of the abuse. I know someday it won't be like this and I will be patient. Just remain safe. Good night. Thank you for coming, Juliet. Appreciate it. Let's see. The chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, Representative Richard Neal, sent a letter to the IRS Wednesday demanding President Trump's tax returns from 2013 through 2018, as well as for several of Trump's businesses. Someone had asked me not to slurp my water, so I do apologize if I was slurping you guys, but talking for 2 hours nonstop requires me to drink water on occasion. We're under audit. Oh, no, that's right. Is that all Trump said to reporters on Wednesday, who brought up the Dems' request for the last 6 years of his returns? Trump said that the Democrats are giving up because they usually ask for the last 10 years of his tax returns. We're under audit, Trump continued. Despite what people said, and we're working that out, I'm always under audit, it seems. I've been under audit for many years because the numbers are big, and guess when you have a big name, you're audited. Until such time that I'm not under audit, I would not be inclined to do that, Trump said. The House Democrats launched an investigation into President Trump's tax returns in February. Currently, there is no law requiring a presidential candidate release their tax returns, but the Democrats don't care about laws. All they care about is harassing President Trump. A hearing of a Ways and Means Oversight Committee in February was meant to begin building a legal case that Trump withholding his tax returns was potentially hiding violations of federal tax laws, therefore compromising U.S. interests. But the Democrats argued in that hearing that they have legal authority to invoke an obscure provision in the federal code that allows for the chairman of the committee to access private tax information, reported the New York Times. The committee's chairman, Representative Richard Neal, was working with the House General Counsel Doug Letter to build a legal argument that will withstand a court challenge, according to the Times. What they are doing here is setting down a precedent that is very dangerous. They are essentially trying to legalize the grab of information from private citizens. There is absolutely no reason that the Democrats should have access to President Trump's tax returns. It has no bearing on anything. Now, one of the worst offenders of these people is Representative Eric Swalwell. Russia conspiracy truther Eric Swalwell to announce he's running for president for some reason. Guest post by Michael LaChance at American Outlook. Representative Swalwell of California has done more than most Democrats in spreading the Russia collusion hoax for 2 years. Swalwell flatly refuses to believe that story that he's been advancing for years now is a lie, and he's running for president for some reason. From the Hill, Representative Swalwell will reportedly announce next week that he is running for president in 2020 and will center his campaign around GUN control. The Atlantic reported Thursday that Swalwell will announce his plans during his appearance on CBS's Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where he will be joined by Cameron Kasky, a survivor of the 2018 incident at Marjorie Douglas Stoneman High School in Parkland, Florida. Swalwell is hosting a town hall on GUN control next week in Florida, but did not confirm his plans to The Atlantic. But he said that he thinks the GUN control should be a top issue in 2020. We are doing a town hall in Parkland, he told The Atlantic, and I do believe that GUN safety has to be the top 2020 issue. Some people on Twitter are already responding to Swalwell's demands for GUN control. Repeat after me, Swalwell says. The NRA is not America. They are just noise. A noise that doesn't even echo what their members believe. Not true. Not true. I do not fear them, and we will soon defeat them. Also not true. We will not be defeated. You will be defeated, Swalwell. This is from Top GUN Options. Grab your drumsticks, little Eric. Don't like them? That's fine. You can be the drummer. He would not do so well in, let's see. Red Pill, you're doing a great job. What is pink cheese? I actually don't know what that is. What's it in reference to? Thank you for that super chat, Tanette. Let's see. First, he was going after nukes. He was going to nuke us. Now we aren't Americans, and he's going to defeat us. Good luck with that. Hashtag complete nut. Michael Tracy says Eric Swalwell is officially running for president, definitely making a play for that collusion truther vote. Now, you need to read the Constitution. Start at the beginning. In the meanwhile, please resign. You are not competent if you cannot defend our Constitution. That's right. That's right. Hold on, you guys. Where is my friend Erin? Because I told her that she could be a moderator. Let's see. There you go. Erin knows what's up here. Erin is going to be back on the show sometime soon, you guys. One of the protesters had a pink cheese sign. Oh, I missed that. I totally missed that. Erin is coming back on the show probably next week. We're going to be talking some more about precious metals and her latest video about AI. It's a good one. You guys should check it out. Let's see. Ha ha ha, Representative Swallowell is running for president. He is likely the most unlikable candidate in the field. It is as if Adam Schiff's less charismatic kid brother is running. Nathan Scheil, thank you for that super chat. Why do all these people have such horrible names like bad guys in a comic book? Shift, Flake, and so on. You're right. They do have horrible names. Let me see here. We may have already located the most vapid soundbite. Let's go ahead and take a listen to that. Where is he? Where's the soundbite? Where's the soundbite, guys? All right, well, apparently the soundbite is not here. Let's see. All right, Tucker Carlson breaks down big tech. Okay. Fox News host Tucker Carlson sat down with the Daily Caller to discuss the power and influence of major tech companies. Carlson bemoaned the outsized power and influence of corporations such as Facebook, Google, and Twitter, claiming that such companies have become far too powerful. Can government coexist with companies that are more powerful than the government itself, Carlson asked. You know what? I'm really annoyed by this comment. Diana Fayard, I could learn a thing or two from Aaron when it comes to drinking and audio. First of all, Aaron produces videos and doesn't drink during them. I also produce videos and don't drink during them. And actually, I've seen her live streams where she actually does take drinks of her drinks on the air. So, yeah, that... Wow. Wow. Carlson bemoaned the outsized power and influence of corporations such as Facebook, Google, and Twitter, claiming that such companies have become far too powerful. Can government coexist with companies that are more powerful than the government itself, Carlson asked. The answer is no. That's not sustainable. Be the light, thank you very much for that super chat. All right, Diana, I love you too. Jeez, there have been a lot of trolls in there tonight, and I wasn't sure. Carlson goes on to explain that power centers can't actually coexist. One must always dominate the other, he said. Watch Carlson explain the power of big tech and how to fight back, and add your thoughts in the comment section below. And we can't watch the video because it is an article that we could not read unless we had a subscription to them. Let's see. Mark Zuckerberg complains about the FCC's lack of free speech regulations, wants more silencing of voices, but especially conservative voices. Everyone's favorite self-appointed world speech policeman, Mark Zuckerberg, recently took part in a long-form sit-down interview with leftist hack journalist George Stephanopoulos on ABC, where they talked about users' privacy on Facebook, putting strong data controls in place for policing free speech. Zuckerberg also complained that there's too much free speech, especially divisive free speech. Now, this is at odds right here. Free speech is free speech. You can't have too much free speech because then it's not free speech. And people have the ability and the right to discuss things on either side of the aisle, whatever part of the spectrum they are on. And it's ridiculous for Mark Zuckerberg to come out and do this. He is already stifling free speech on his platform. He suggests that the FCC should regulate speech online. Now, I bring this up immediately after Tucker Carlson talks about regulating these big tech giants. I think that there is a need for the FCC to step in, for a regulation, anyways, on the social media platforms. They are horrible, and they clearly, every day, they are stifling the speech of us, of people like us. They are taking our accounts, they are shadow banning them, they are forcing us to delete our posts. Mark Zuckerberg is an android, as far as I'm concerned. Facebook has been shutting down traffic to conservative websites since the 2016 election. Conservatives dominated social media in 2016, where they were able to get the truth uncensored. Facebook ended that in 2017 and 2018. The Gateway Pundit spoke with two of the top conservative publishers in America. Floyd Brown is a conservative author, speaker, and media commentator. In 2008, Floyd launched Western Journal, which quickly became one of the top conservative websites in America. By 2016, Floyd's organization of Western Journal and other conservative websites under his umbrella had more than 1 billion page views. Since 2016, Floyd's organization lost 75% of its Facebook traffic. Tell me that this is not on purpose. Likewise, we spoke with Jared Velarani from Clicked Media. Jared traveled to Washington, D.C. with the Gateway Pundit and website owners at 100% Fed Up in June to discuss Facebook targeting against conservative publishers with Republican lawmakers. Jared told the Gateway Pundit his organization Clicked Media, which hosts over 60 conservative websites, lost 400 million page views from Facebook in the last 6 months, if you compare the traffic to a year ago. Jared said we lost 70 to 80% of our traffic if you compare January to May 2017 versus 2018. If you combine the total number of page views lost by just these two conservative online publishers, you are looking at a loss of over 1.5 billion page views from Facebook alone. Diana Davenport says, drink and vape away. Thanks for having us in your home. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Diana. And I know that there are a lot of people who appreciate how genuine I am. There's only so much massaging of the image that can be done when you're doing a live stream. So I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I'm glad that you guys are here. I'm very, very glad that you guys are here with me because this is great. So let's see. There are numbers from just two of the top conservative publishers in America. This does not include the thousands of other conservative publishers across the country who lost all of their traffic coming from Facebook. Here at the Gateway Pundit, our Facebook traffic has been effectively eliminated as the fourth, after we ranked as the fourth most influential conservative publisher in the 2016 election. The fact that Facebook is targeting conservative publishers should not be a surprise to Gateway Pundit readers. We have, is my mom here? You guys, I haven't seen my mom in the chat, but she said she was going to be stopping by to say hi. We have been reporting on this for several months now. In July, we released a study where we looked at several top conservative websites and discovered that the publishers had lost an average of 93% of their Facebook traffic. In February, James O'Keefe and Project Veritas published proof from a whistleblower that Facebook plotted and planned to remove conservative content from their platform. Yes, Nathan Chiles says Zuckerberg is just a front guy. I heard that the clowns in America is running the whole thing. That is correct. That is correct. The information describes how Facebook engineers planned and went about policing political speech. So when Facebook says they want to crack down on speech, they mean conservative speech. Stephanopoulos framed the discussion by claiming that Facebook isn't doing more to police fake news and hate speech before they go on to describe exactly what Zuckerberg doesn't like and what the answer should be. Somehow, it's all the Russians' fault. Stephanopoulos says, let's talk about the regulation. For your call for regulation, as you know, it's been met with skepticism. One of them, in some corners, let's just tick through some of the questions and have you answer them. One of them is people see as the smart tactic to block more dramatic action, like Elizabeth Warren's call to break up the company. How do you respond to that? Hold on. Aaron says, Facebook fired me, but I pushed for it. Thank you, Diana Fayard. Red Pill isn't here to please the world. He is here to speak truth. When speaking truth, some will not like it and many will fight it. Thank you so much. Well, I've spent most of the last few years trying to address these major social issues that we find ourselves at the center of. So everything from policing harmful content to preventing election interference to making sure that we have strong data controls in place. This is great. Everything that Mark Zuckerberg talks about is exactly the opposite of what he's doing. He uses these euphemisms, but they allow people to make videos that are, full of violence, that are recruiting for violent organizations. But at the same time, they're shutting down people speaking freely about their political point of view. Tiffany Vinci says, thank you for doing what you do. Thank you very much for the super chat. Thank you for saying that. Is my mom here, you guys? I didn't see her chat. I want to make my mom a mod. Mom, there you are. Mom, you're a moderator now. Okay. Hi, Cisco. Hi, buddy. There's a lot more to do, but we've made a lot of progress over the last couple of years. And one of the things that I now have more of an appreciation about is that in each of these areas, there's a question of what decisions should be left to a private company to make, especially around things like speech and expression for so many people around the world. And where should we have either industry or more government regulation? Leotard says, this is the best live stream out there. I love being here. It's magical. Thank you so much, Leotards. I appreciate that. I enjoy having you guys here. Let's see. So, and where should we have either industry or more government regulation? And I can give you a few examples of where I think this is really important. You know, after 2016, when we saw what Russia tried to do, interfering in the election, we've implemented a lot of different measures to verify any advertiser who's running a political ad, to create an archive of all the political ads so anyone can see what advertisers are running and who they're targeting and how much they're paying, any other ads that they say. But one of the things that's unclear, actually, what is the definition of a political ad, right? And that's a really fundamental question for this. Does it have to say vote for or vote against, for example? Well, yeah, that's exactly right. All of the laws around political advertising today primarily focus on a candidate and an election, right? So vote for this candidate in this election. But that's not primarily what we saw Russia trying to do. And again, he's talking about Russia. Russia. What do they spend? $10,000? Okay, and an agency in Russia, a company in Russia spent this money. But then at the same time, we had Google disparaging right-leaning candidates, showing negative things about them, pushing them to political information about people on the left, and they had actual effects on the election. It was ridiculous. So we're going to skip over all this because it's just it's a bunch of nonsense, and we really do need to have regulation on the social media platforms that are stifling conservative content. All right, you guys, let me see. What are the other articles we've got here? Because it is after 11, so I'm going to have to jump off here in a moment. House Democrats sue to block President Trump's border wall. Good luck on that, you guys. GOP senators alert Barr to allegations that Mueller's team misrepresented Trump campaign emails to fuel the Russian collusion conspiracy theories. Judicial Watch was forced to delay the Clinton email deposition after the DOJ and the State Department defied a court-ordered deadline. Veronica St. Clair, thank you for that super chat. Hillary Clinton attacked Mitch McConnell, but she stayed silent on former aide mocking the polio-afflicted McConnell, stumbling on stairs. That's right. You guys remember that? He had trouble walking up the stairs because he had polio, okay? Now, House Democrats also want oversight over Fox News, but nothing about social media. Oh, this is great. We have to watch this. So, we had Alexandria Occasional Cortex checking in with a boozy video from her apartment putting together IKEA furniture, and then we had Brendan Dilley's wife spoofing it. So let's go ahead and watch AOC first.
You should also know that the internet documents everything, and your grandchildren will not be able to hide the fact that you fought against acknowledging and taking bold actions on climate change. And people who are trying to mock and delay this moment, I mean, I just feel bad for you. I just pity you for your role in history right now. Guess what? I'm 29. I'm the youngest woman to ever be elected to the United States Congress. I have plenty of time to learn, and I'm not afraid to make mistakes and iterate in public either. And frankly, if the mistakes that I'm making are just a one-off, like, rhetorical thing, you correct it, acknowledge it, and move on. At least I'm not trying to cage children in the border and inject them with drugs. That's not a mistake. That is a deliberate policy to attack people based on their national origin. That's not a mistake. That's just hatred. That's just cruelty. That's just wrong.
I had a couple of super chats I needed to say thank you for. Sharon Barassa says, help, I can't pull up the resignation letter from Sessions. There is no date on it, and the news made a big deal about it. I'll pull it up. And then DW Rain 1 says, we love you, Patriot brother, and your wonderful mother. Thank you for everything. Thank you both for those super chats and for the kind words. So essentially, she's saying that we're targeting, the government is targeting people of national origin. It doesn't matter who's coming across the border. If they're illegal, we're going to have to get rid of them. We're not letting them come through. The whole point of this here, guys, she's on Instagram or Snap or whatever it is, and she's just rambling, drinking wine, putting together IKEA furniture. So here is the parody video, because it's much, much better.
Okay, y'all. Listen to me. I might be under investigation for, fraud and stuff, FEC stuff, but that's not even the point. Like, at least I don't do what Border Patrol do, like, for real, they're out there and they're actually, like, checking how brown kids are. And if they're brown enough, swear to God, they will check. And if they're brown enough, they inject them with needles at the border. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong while I build this furniture. I'm not racist like that. It's horrific. And it's a tragedy. It's like tragic and horrific together. Straight up. It's terrific. We got to do something, you guys. We got to do something.
We got to do something. We got to do something. That link to get to Randy Savage's video is going to be in the show notes below. Tanette Booth says, youngest and dumbest, they were vaccines. Irony. Yes, the youngest and the dumbest. Very true. Here, guys, we're going to look at Jeff Sessions' resignation letter real quick. Here is his resignation letter. The signature is different. Who showed this to me on Twitter? I can't remember who showed it to me. I think it was either TikTok, or maybe it was Q-Tips, or maybe it was, shoot, I can't remember, you guys. I can't remember. But yeah, there is no date on it, and it looks to me like it's signed by President Trump. Be the Light says, that vid is funny crap. Cortez is a crazy, whacked out bimbo. God help us. That's right. She is crazy. No news on Julian Assange, you guys. I haven't seen any news on Julian Assange. Here, let's take a look at Jeff Sessions' signature on Wikipedia. And you can see, here we are. Here is his signature, right there. That's Jeff Sessions' signature. This is his signature on the letter. It's not the same signature. What does that mean? What does that mean? Now, your signature changes over time, but that's a drastic change. Drastic change. Now, it looks like somebody, maybe tried to do an adequate representation of Jeff Sessions' signature, but all the letters are formed in a very different manner. Very, very different. So I don't know what that means, you guys. Could it be that President Trump actually wrote this letter? Let's take a look at President Trump's signature. We'll go to his Wikipedia page. Now, take a look at that. Look at the strokes. Look at the strokes on those letters. And the Sharpie that he uses. I'd say that this very well could be President Trump signing Jeff Sessions' name. Because that doesn't look like Jeff Sessions' signature at all. Why do they keep pulling this away from me? There we go. What do you guys think? Do you think that President Trump signed this letter, that wrote it himself, and then signed off? I think that Jeff Sessions is in on the plan. I think that he very well could have been compromised, and he had to play along, and he had to do what President Trump wanted him to do. so that he could free himself and so that he could be let go of whatever dirty deeds he was forced to do during his time in office and his time in the swamp. But that signature is not the same as that signature. Completely differing. Breaking news, Trump is a forger. Trump didn't do that? You guys don't think Trump did it? Now, the reason I'm suggesting that is because the person who sent this to me actually asked me if I thought that that could be Trump. But all I know is that this signature for Jeffrey B. Sessions is not the same as this signature for Jeffrey B. Sessions. Now, you're right. Trump doesn't have the curves. It's very angular. Donald Trump. Yep. I'm trying to look and see if there's any letters that are in common. Well, the N's and the M's kind of look the same. Tanette Booth says, do you think Sessions will come into play later on? And yes, I do. Tribunals. I do think that Jeff Sessions will come into play for tribunals. Let's take a look at one other thing. Let's look at Jeff Sessions signature doesn't match. Let's just take a look at that. No, nobody's talking about it. No one is talking about it. Jeff Sessions resignation. I didn't see anybody talking about that letter like that. Jeff Sessions' letter of resignation is now being looked at. Let's look at that from Red State. Shortly after Rod Rosenstein appointed Robert Mueller. Oh, yes. This was the fact that Sessions resigned rather than being fired, as they attempted to put out there. All right, you guys. We're going to go ahead and cut it there. I want to thank everyone for joining me. I want to thank my guest, US Forestry Anon. She does have some information about missing 411 cases. I am going to speak to her about that tomorrow. We're going to put together another bit of information for you guys on that. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News. Wait, I didn't see what? Slipsters, what did I miss? What did I miss? Let's see. No, I want to just stress, I don't think that that Trump signed this letter. Someone asked me, and I was asking you guys because I wanted to put it out to the audience. Let's see. All right, you guys, that's it. I'll look for a DM. Okay, good night, everyone. As always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the corruption detector, and this was your Red Pill News for Saturday Night Livestream. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.